I begin with Josep Lluis Sert. So let's read a little bit about him. So he actually died on the 15th of March, 1983. That's the way I make these presentations. For those who died, I present them both on the day of birth. So I will present him also on July 1st, but also on the day when he died. And he died, as you see, March 15th. So he was a Catalan, Josep, who is Sir, I guess, Y Lopez, a Catalan architect, was a Spanish architect, but probably he would have preferred to be called a Catalan architect and city planner. Born in Barcelona, Catalonia, Sert showed keen interest in the works of his uncle, the painter Josep Maria Sert, and of Gaudí. He studied architecture at the Escola Superior de Arquitectura in Barcelona and set up his own studio in 1929. That same year, Sert moved to Paris in response to an invitation from Le Corbusier to work for him, in parentheses, without payment. Apparently, Le Corbusier did have this rather questionable habit not to pay. Returning to because Doshi also was not paid. So he took his revenge by getting the Pritzker Prize a few years ago. Anyway, back to Sert, returning to Barcelona in 1930. I guess he didn't work for too long for Le Corbusier because, you know, if he moved to Paris in 1929 and he returned to Barcelona in 1930, you know, he only spent a few months or some months at the most 1 year in Paris. But he, you know, this very news is kind of, you know, makes me smile. In 1929, he, you know, he set up his own studio and also moved to Paris to work for Le Corbusier. Anyway, we move on. So returned to Barcelona in 1930. He continued his practice there until 1937. During the 1930s, Sert co-founded the Grup d'Artistes i Tècnics Catalans per el Progrés de l'Arquitectura Contemporània, group of Catalan artists and technicians for the progress of contemporary architecture, which later became, with the addition of the Western and North groups, the Grupo whatever, again, a long name, which was in turn the Spanish branch of the Congrès International d'Architecture Moderne, SIAM. Good advertising for Jose Luis Sert, we have to confess. Sometimes later, Sert became president of SIAM, 1947, 1956. My God, 9 years. He created several outstanding pieces of modern architecture during this period, such as the Weekend House in El Garraf, Catalonia, Spain, which unfortunately I do not have here, the Central Dispensary of Barcelona, which I do, and the master plan for the city of Barcelona, which I don't. From 1937 through 1939, Sert lived in Paris, where he designed the Spanish Republic's pavilion at the World's Fair, the Paris Exposition of 1937. For the artistic content of the building, Sert called on his Spanish artist friends, Picasso, Miro, and Calder. Well, Calder was not Spanish, was American. Picasso's contribution was Guernica and became the focal attraction of Sert's design. In 1939, having been disqualified from practicing as an architect in Spain, now I don't know why, maybe because of the Franco regime or I don't know. Anyway, rather radical. This is the first time I encounter such a case when an architect is disqualified from practicing. Sert went, but for him it worked for the better. He went into exile in New York City, where he worked with the town planning associates, carrying out numerous urban plans for cities in South America. Pavilion of the Spanish, what is this? Something wrong here. This text should not have been here. Anyway, in 1952, Sert held a one-year visiting professorship at Yale University. The following year, he became dean of the Harvard Graduate School of Design from 1953 to 1969. Not bad. There, Sert initiated the world's first degree program in urban design, integrated the programs of architecture, planning, landscape, and urban design, and taught many of today's leading architects. During this period, he served on the advisory board of the newly created Graham Foundation in Chicago, Illinois. These are his hands. I like his hands, you know, they are expressive. Hands are, I think, important. They do say something about a person, I think. Maybe close to what the eyes say about a person. The eyes and the hands do say something, and the shoes, I would say. Anyway, I also like his shirt from the little I see here, you know, the little squares, you know, it's kind of a sensitive shirt, it seems. This is the man, the Catalan architect, and another picture with him. I mean, it's the same picture, but you know, you see the whole of it, and he's sitting on the famous Vasily chair designed by Marcel Breuer. Okay, some drawings, only 3 drawings, sketches, you know, nothing, you know, wow about them, but I think they show, you know, a certain sensitivity and common sense. Yeah, sketches, hand drawn, of course. So now we'll go through his buildings, both from Spain and from the United States. The truth is, you know, he probably deserved a longer, an ampler presentation than the one I have. I had one with his works outside of Spain, because last year or 2 years ago, when I presented him, again, it was a Portuguese architect who talked about him, and then I just added some other works. But anyway, you'll have a comprehensive, you know, understanding of his works at the end of this presentation. 1930, 1931. As a guiding mark, Villa Savoie by Le Corbusier was built in 1928. So this was 3 years later, an apartment building in Barcelona, and I think it's good. I think this modernism, you know, 90 years ago is still convincing and somehow fresh. I mean, if you do something like this today, it would be, you know, noticed and published and all the rest, but it was built 90 years ago. Interesting, this corner, you know, balcony, you know, with the door here, and then it turns around, but it doesn't arrive, you know, in front of the windows. It stops before it reaches the window with a potential door as well. Anyway, now a boutique, which is now a Rolex Boutique, also in Barcelona, 1933, 1934. Still elegant and I would say still convincing as architecture. Nothing wrong with it. And Rolex, I guess, took the right decision to rent it or own it, buy it. I don't know. Anyway, it's Rolex. Before it was this thing, I don't know, Roca. Now, dispensary anti-tuberculose, so it's a dispensary, well, you know, for tuberculosis, kind of like a clinic, a hospital. Modern, yes, modern, and the language of modernity, is easy to notice and to perceive. I mean, there are buildings today that are built just like this, with almost no differences at all. Not all his works, make me very affectionate, but some do, and I will say it when we arrive at them. Another apartment building in Barcelona, 1932, 1936, Casablo, but it's actually it's more than a casa. It's all this thing, long block of flats. I guess with the entrances into the apartments from a long exterior corridor, which is always, in my opinion, a very good choice. It's a very good choice for various reasons, but one of them is that it allows cross ventilation inside the apartments. And also this corridor could, exterior balcony or corridor, could function for meeting neighbors, talking, smoking a cigarette with them. It could be beneficial to a more conducive kind of social life. So this is the this is the model of this casa, and here are the plans. So this is what I said. If you enter the apartment through here, you have the kitchen, with light from this side, and then you have the living room facing the other way. You have cross ventilation, and it works very well. And so you have the bedrooms, having a double orientation and very small circulation. You see here there are 4 bedrooms, so it's somehow a large apartment, but very little circulation. Because of this, the exterior access corridor to the apartments is very, very beneficial. I don't know why it is in practice more often in our country. It should. I was told that because of the climate. What climate? In England and the Scandinavian countries, they do it all the time, and they have a harsher. Plus, now we don't have winter. So anyway, the pavilion of the Spanish Republic, Exposition Internationale des Arts et Techniques de la Vie Moderne, 1937. It was rebuilt. I guess it was destroyed, and it was rebuilt. Here it is rebuilt. I think it was rebuilt in Barcelona, not in Paris. It's okay. It's fine. I still like that redness. I hope that redness was the original choice of Josep Lluis Sert. This is this is how the building was rebuilt. I guess the Catalans, they like rebuilding. They also rebuilt the Miss Barcelona pavilion. They rebuilt this pavilion by Josep Lluis Sert. Good. I think it's good that they did so. Now, he also, because he was friends with Juan Miró, and Juan Miró having a very successful career as a painter, he had plenty of money. So he commissioned his friend to build a rather luxurious studio for him in where else, Palma de Mallorca. And this is the facade of the building. I don't know exactly what kind of rendering this is, but I see it signed at the bottom by Josep Lluis Sert. And this is the building. Not bad. I wish all artists in the world, the good ones at least, would have something like this. But They don't most of the time. And certainly Vincent van Gogh didn't have something like this, but Juan Miró did. And also in a beautiful place. I mean, maybe so beautiful that you wouldn't feel like doing art any longer. Although I hope this was not the case. And I know it was not the case with Juan Miró. You know, not bad, really. I mean, it would be a pleasure to have something like this and to paint and to paint and to paint, maybe smoke, maybe drink a coffee, maybe drink something else. Yes, some artists are doing well. It's not a very large building, but still, it shows, it shows that there was success here for the painter. Now, you probably know that art studios are discouraged to have to receive sunlight. They, the functionalist requirement is that the windows face north. But I don't think this is the case here. I see some sunlight. I mean, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me that this is facing north. Anyway, Brâncuș didn't have, it was not, his studio was not facing north either. And although this might be north, but this is the other side. Anyway, here I don't have pictures, the Havana Plan Piloto, but we go now, well, we go indirectly in a way to the United States, because as we read, he was disqualified to practice as an architect, so he exiled himself to the United States. I guess he was extremely successful and influential because he was commissioned to design an embassy, and he was, essentially an immigrant. Well, he designed a very nice building, which unfortunately was abandoned in 1990. The embassy of the United States in Baghdad, in Iraq, from 1955 to 1961. I really like this building, and I regret very much it was abandoned. I hope they will restore it or somehow, because I think he did a good job here. Here are pictures from the time when the building was used, was functioning. I wish I had better pictures. I only found so-called better pictures with the abandoned building. But no, I would have liked to see it, see more of this building while it was in good shape. Here is a rendering of it, but you'll have an idea about what the building was about. Josep Lluis Sert. Now here it is now. Abandoned, vandalized, but who knows? Structurally, seems it's still, facing the elements, but it's depressing, no? I mean, this was an embassy, and now it's a ruin. Okay, now his own home. He became the director of the architecture program at Harvard, so his salary afforded him to build a nice home for himself from 1957 at Cambridge. So it's modernism. It's not not an alarming modernism. It's not a screamed modernism. It's a balanced modernism, and he uses also, I like the fact that he uses brick walls as well, not just I mean, what we look at here, this is kind of to be expected. But I think he was a very good architect, Josep Lluis. Yes, he lived very comfortably, as you can see, and enjoyed life as an academic and as an architect. Uh, and even nature, of course, because we look at a building which is surrounded by trees. So we can only envy him, right? This is the plan of his own home. So there is space around the building, but also a courtyard. Um, a rather modest garage for only one car, and I'm happy. He was happy with just one car. He didn't need many, like even today, unfortunately. A very pleasant interior indeed. I mean, nothing extravagant, but it shows good taste and well controlled, opulence. Um, the truth is, if you study the work of someone like him, you might fall in love again with architecture and even with a certain kind of modernity, like mid-century modernity. Because there is optimism here, not an extravagant form of optimism, but there is optimism. There is humanity in this architecture, and maybe we need more of it. Um, it's kind of a moderate modernism, a center for the study of world religions, 1958, 1960, Harvard Divinity School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Another good building, I would say. And I like the fact that it is not ideologized. It's an educational building built for the conjunction, the unity of all religions, and it doesn't assume any kind of ideological narrative to, impress you with so-called sacred. No, it's a building which modestly functions as a gathering place for the study of religions, Center for the Study of All Religions. Um, and I like the fact that it has a certain domesticity, the building. It's not, imposing as an institutional place. It's rather modest, and there is a certain level of domesticity. Now, Smith Campus Center at Harvard University, 1958, 1965. Now, this is more like it. I mean, I mean, it's more like a big university building, but it's well designed, and with vertical windows, with a certain musical treatment of the facades. the facade is nice, uh, modern, but done with a certain sensitivity. He was able, I think, to bring from Europe a certain sensitivity which didn't leave him. And some other architects didn't succeed in doing this. He did. All this fragmentation of the facade testifies, I think, to something so-called European. Now, the Fondation met in Saint Paul de Vence in France, an art gallery or museum, 1959, 1964. Is similar in a way with the studio he built for Juan Miró. Now, yes, certain people might question a little bit these rather exalted, parts of the top of the building, but they also add an interest to the building, and they probably also have a function beyond function, meaning maybe a certain. I guess it could refer to the aspiration towards the above of art, or the lofty ideals of art. I don't know. It's it's the termination at the top of the building. It's like a hat. It's like a coiffure. Here is a sculpture by Alexander Calder, the North American sculptor, who was actually an engineer, but an excellent sculptor. Josep Lluis Sert. Sorry about this picture. Here is the model, a larger version of the model, but it's still a model. He was good working, in a warmer climate, in a kind of close to the Mediterranean Sea. I think his sensibility, because he was born in Catalonia, made him, sensitive to, like here, Ibiza, and what we saw before, Palma de Mallorca, and even the Fondation Met. And what was good also, he brought something of that light, that spirit also to the United States, even to, around Boston. I mean, northeast part of the United States. A hotel abandoned in Ibiza, Spain. No, wait a minute, this is strange, because I guess you see, I have to be careful with the images I found. I found this image under the name, the abandoned, embassy in Baghdad. Well, I'm more inclined now to think that it's rather the abandoned hotel in Ibiza in Spain, and not the Baghdad embassy. It does look more like a hotel, now that I look more carefully at it. And plus, I see the other images. So this is the second building that was abandoned, built by Josep Lluis Sert. Here the artists were, inspired to attack the building with their graffitis. And I think that's a good thing. But what is not good is what we look at here. Yeah, what can we do? If this was in Ukraine, we would have known why it looks like this, but it's not in Ukraine. The vandalism of war is to me unacceptable and incomprehensible. Eastwood and Westview apartment complexes on Roosevelt Island in New York from 1969, a very nice, large housing complex. yesterday I showed some works by the way of Marxist architecture in Belgrade, and I seem to see I see a certain resemblance with what was built in New Belgrade. Maybe there were some influences coming from Josep Lluis. But look at this. These are very masterly done. The elevation of these large buildings, the way he punctured the facade, the way he, it's an animated facade. It has a certain sensibility that makes the building, I don't know, alive and interesting, although, essentially it's a prism. Good works. Even the towers, I think they are done very, very skillfully. So these are on Roosevelt Island, part of New York City. The truth is, mid-century, mid-20th century had good architecture. I mean, of course, it had also bad architecture, but there was a modernism then which is still valid today. So this is Roosevelt Island. Somehow this looks more like Europe than the United States. Well, this one, okay, but the previous image does have something European about it, which is surprising considering it's in New York, even if on an island. And you see the way he treats there is also an ornamentation. And this aspect I like, that, he is not happy with just brutally having some blank walls. He creates a texture and, a design on that surface. So this, even if you at first do not analyze it or notice it, you understand that there is here a different sensibility. How many people would do something like this, approximately mid-century, 20th century, or early 60s? Not many. This is ornament here. Let's name it. It's ornament. And he's a modern architect. Not only that he's a modern architect, he ran Siam for a rather good number of years. Now, Carmel de la Paix, this is, I think, part of a monastery, 1971 in France. You see here, well, you see a fragment of the plan. This is it's like a citadel on top of a hill. I wish I had more pictures, but interesting work again. It's austere, but also sensitive. He uses concrete, yes, but no, the more I contemplate his work, the more I like it. And it, maybe because he also was an architect, but also an urbanist, so he was aware of the the relationship between the rooms within a building and between the buildings around around the street or around the square. So there is this relationship between fragments of parts of buildings and the whole. So it's like a, you know, a small citadel in a way. Sorry about this. That's what I found. There isn't much to see here, nor here. These drawings. Uh, Harvard Science Center, Harvard University. Now these are a little bit different. 1973, you know, this is a confident architecture for a confident university for confident students. And I don't like this building so much as what we saw on the Roosevelt Island. It's, you know, still a terraced building, but it seems colder to me than what we saw previously. Maybe he was getting older. This is also possible. Um, yeah, Harvard University. I like more those works where there was an influence coming from the Mediterranean Sea, from Barcelona, you know, that it was the Baghdad US embassy, or even the, you know, his own home and the housing on Roosevelt Island. Anyway, he built this. I don't know what if he did this too. I guess he did. And this looks interesting from above, but I don't know if I have pictures, you know, from the level of the Radcliffe archives. Is, you know, this picture was is part of that archive. We saw this one. Now, Fondation Juan Miró from 1975. This is actually his studio. So, or no, it's different. This is actually his studio, but I guess this image I should not have had here. I'm sorry. This is the foundation. So he built both the studio of Juan Miró and the foundation Juan Miró. And what the artworks that we look at here are just artworks by Juan Miró. Yes, the building is different from the studio that he built for Juan Miró. Josep Lluis, again, a sculpture by, not by Juan Miró, but by Calder. Alexander Calder. You can find at second-hand bookstores in Bucharest a very nice album with sculptures of Alexander Calder written by Dan Coma, who met Calder, and it's a very nice book, and it costs almost nothing. So I suggest, if you are interested, to purchase it. With a few lei, you can have a nice art book with the works of an excellent sculptor. So this building is larger than the studio of Juan Miró. It's a foundation. Maybe by the time Juan Miró died, I don't know, but it's a museum, all right. You know. I don't know. I find it a little bit less. Something is missing here. It's that fragmentation, that the small elements seem to be a little bit less present. Maybe modernism in its dogmatic form you know, began to influence him. I don't know. It's all this concrete, these surfaces. But anyway, here is a picture of him and Juan Miró. Miró on the left. Sorry about those authorship words there. That's it.